Man, when it comes to the group TLC, you just know that they had that it factor. The it factor. Like Michael Jackson, Madonna, they got that it factor. Prince, Michael Jordan, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, that it factor. I mean, when they came out in the early 90s, even though they weren't the best singers, like En Vogue, SWV, Spice Girls and all of them, but TLC still rose above all of them and became the best-selling American girl group of all time, with over 65 million records sold worldwide. But out of the three girls, the most powerful one, the most controversial, the most creative, and always spoke her mind was none other than Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Now let's get into her story, right? Now, Left Eye was born on May 27th, 1971 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was the oldest of three children from her parents Wanda and Ronald Lopez, who was a United States Army Staff Sergeant, and he played in the Army Band. But he was very strict and abusive to her mother. Now, they knew that Left Eye was special because she was talking by the age of 1 year old, and by the age of 5, she taught herself how to play piano. See, by her father being in the military, she moved around a lot and met a lot of people and experienced a lot of things. Now, see, right, Lisa was also very overprotective of her younger brother and sister, almost like a second mom to them. They ended up settling down in North Philly, which was a rough neighborhood where she lived, but she knew one day she would be a star and take care of her family. But see, her father was an alcoholic, and he would give Left Eye beer all the time, and they would drink together. She said the first time he gave her beer was around the age of 5. The fights between her mother and father started getting worse. So she moved in with her grandmother on her father's side by the time she was 13 years old. Now, during those times, life was rough for her, and she would run away from home a lot, but eventually would come back and do it again. Tired of the family drama, at the age of 17 years old, Left Eye decided to leave Philly for good with her boyfriend, who told her that he knew someone who was looking for a female rapper in Atlanta. Now, once she got to Atlanta, right, she ended up meeting super producer Rico Wade from Organized Noise, who y'all might know from producing Outkast and Goody Mob. And it just so happens that record exec named Ian Burke was managing a girl named Crystal Jones, who was a singer and dancer at the time. But see, Ian Burke wanted to put together a female version of BBD together, singing R&B and hip hop music like they was doing. Now, Ian Burke was cool with Rico Wade and asked him did he know any female singers. And Rico Wade told him about THIEVZ, who was his neighbor at the time, and Left Eye, who he was dating. Now, after meeting Left Eye, Ian Burke liked her rhymes, but he really didn't think she was the right fit for the group. Plus, Left Eye came in a dress instead of baggy clothes like he was looking for. But Crystal liked the style and convinced him to put her in the group. With the group completed, Ian liked the combination of the girls and called them Second Nature. Left Eye's stage name at first was QT, Cutie. THIEVZ went by the name Madam T. After that, he introduced the girls to another up-and-coming producer named Jermaine Dupri, who was producing for his new group called Criss Cross. Jermaine started recording and producing for the girls and would look out for them, especially Left Eye, because she really had nowhere to go because she had just came down from Philly. She was basically homeless. But see, Jermaine looked out for her. Even though his mom was strict about letting girls stay over, he would hide her in the closet until his mom went to work. The song that Jermaine Dupri produced for them was called I Got It Going On, but it was never released. And THIEVZ, at that time, she was working at a hair salon, and one day Pebbles was there and told the owner of the salon that she was looking for talent. Now, y'all know Pebbles, who ended up marrying L.A. Reid, but late 80s, early 90s, she was hot. The songs Girlfriend, Mercedes Boy, Giving You the Benefit, Love Make Things Happen featuring Babyface. Man, let me tell you, Pebbles was it. I love some Pebbles back in the day, man. Pebbles, she was a good artist, man. But anyway, after that, Pebbles met the girls and decided to work with them, signing them to Pebbletone Management after she bought their contract from Ian Burke, the girls' first manager. She also didn't like the name Second Nature, so she changed the name to TLC, which stood for the first initials in their name. Now the crazy thing is, the name TLC, right, was supposed to be R&B singing group SWV first name, but Pebbles, being in the music industry years before, got it trademarked first. Now, the group was complete, but Pebbles, she really wasn't feeling Crystal and felt like she didn't have a strong voice, so Left Eye and THIEVZ had to kick her out of the group on Pebbles' orders. But in an interview, Crystal Jones said she wasn't kicked out. Pebbles wanted her to sign the contract without a lawyer present, so she didn't sign. Now with Crystal gone, right, L.A. Reid told Pebbles about Chili, who at the time was a backup dancer for the group Damien Dame. You know what, man? I'm gonna have to do an episode on Damien Dame too. I like that song they had called Right Down to It. And they was the first act signed to LaFace Records in 1991. And that group, they dealt with some tragedy too. But anyway, now once Pebbles met Chili, whose real name is Razonda, she gave her the name Chili for the C in TLC to replace Crystal and introduce her to THIEVZ and Left Eye. And everybody clicked right off jump. They all liked each other. Left Eye later revealed that she got her name Left Eye from New Edition artist Michael Bivins in 1991 after he noticed that her left eye was more slanted and prettier than the right. Now at first, right, Pebbles was going to take them to Giant Records and get them signed over there, but L.A. Reid convinced her to sign them to his label LaFace Records, distributed through Arista, which was ran by Clive Davis. The crazy part is the same day Left Eye got signed, her father was killed by his cousin after an argument. After that, they started working on their debut album with Jermaine Dupri, Babyface, and Dallas Austin. But most of the time, they worked with Dallas Austin, who ended up in a relationship with Chili. Left Eye and THIEVZ, they kept it a secret, but once Pebbles found out, she kicked Chili out of the group because she felt it was a conflict of interest. But rumors also state that the real reason she kicked Chili out of the group was because she had an affair with her then husband, L.A. Reid. But, you know, Left Eye and THIEVZ fought for her to stay, so Pebbles let it go. Pebbles and L.A. Reid admitted that the reason their marriage fell apart was because of TLC years later. And, you know, Pebbles got a book. A book will be dropping soon, I heard. We'll see what she gonna put in there. But back to the story. On February 25th, 1992, they released their debut album titled Ooh on a TLC tip with the hits Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Baby Baby Baby, What About Your Friends, and Hat to the Back, selling over 4 million copies. Now, the fans fell in love with their tomboyish style, dressing like boys, wearing boxers, baggy jeans, and big t-shirts from Cross Colors. Man, I remember Cross Colors. But and look, they really loved Left Eye though, because she spoke her mind, and she would have a condom in the left lens of her glasses and all over her outfits, promoting safe sex. You know, at that time, Atlanta was making noise with groups like Criss Cross, Arrested Development, and ABC, Another Bad Creation. Now, with the success of their album, they became the opening act for MC Hammer's Too Legit to Quit tour. And y'all know at that time, MC Hammer was getting money. And he told Left Eye that they should look into their contracts with Pebbles because they was broke. Plus Left Eye, she found out that I think Boyz II Men was on that tour too, and a couple other acts, and how they was getting money. But anyway, after approaching Pebbles about their contract, she ended up buying them Toyota RAV4s to make peace, but it was too late. Upset with their contract, they ended up firing Pebbles, But in order to still use the TLC name, they had to pay her $3 million, $1 million for each letter of the name. Now, with Pebbles out the way, they ended up getting a new manager and went on tour with Bobby Brown, Shabba Ranks, and Mary J. Blige. According to THIEVZ, in her book called A Sick Life, which is a great book, y'all should pick that book up, they had got into it with some of Bobby Brown's dancers, and one of his girls punched Left Eye in her left eye, and that's why Left Eye started putting that black stripe like football players under her eye, and they had to stop Left Eye from shooting the girl. But things started to heat up for the group, and everybody wanted to work with them. They did the song Get It Up for the Poetic Justice soundtrack, which starred Janet Jackson and Tupac. Now hold on, let me say this about Tupac and Left Eye. Now, they met years before in 1991 and became good friends. Left Eye said that she fell in love with Tupac instantly on sight. She was taken by his conversation, music, and charisma, and he was drawn to her creativity and her piano playing. And the first thing he told her was never let him have sex with her because he was going to look at her different. She also said that if he would have asked her to marry him, she would have said yes off top. Eric Sherman from EPMD used to date Left Eye also, and he revealed that Left Eye told him if Tupac come and get her, their relationship is over. That's how much love she had for Tupac. Now, rumors also claim that the song Can You Get Away was about Left Eye on Tupac's Me Against the World album. I don't know. I listened to it. I don't know. He just, Pac, he just spitting lyrics on it. But now check this though. Ed Lover and John Singleton, who was close to Tupac, also revealed that they was there the night Tupac kicked Left Eye out the hotel room because she had on Naughty by Nature boxers, and he accused her of messing with Tretch. But anyway, like I was saying, TLC was ringing in the industry at that time, man, and they were hot. They also ended up with a role in the movie House Party 3 with Kid and Play as the group Sex is a Weapon, and Left Eye was featured on the song Make Some Noise. They recorded the theme song for the popular Nickelodeon kids show called All That, which ran for 10 seasons. And also around that time, Jamal from the rap group Illegal, who Left Eye and Tretch had put together, introduced her to star football player Andre Rison, who played for the Atlanta Falcons at the time. Now, Andre and Left Eye hit it off right off top and started dating, but there were problems from the get-go in their relationship because he was very jealous and possessive, and she had an alcohol addiction problem. One incident, Andre was arrested in the parking lot after he allegedly physically abused Left Eye, plus shot a handgun in the air. Her alcohol addiction also got her arrested for fighting with police at the Georgia Dome Arena, and she was charged with disorderly conduct while intoxicated, criminal trespass, and a simple battery against a police officer. Now see, after all that, it was time for them to start recording their new album titled Crazy Sexy Cool. But on June 8th, 1994, Left Eye was arrested for setting fire to Andre Rison's sneakers in the bathtub, burning down his mansion, and then went outside and took a vacuum cleaner pipe and broke the windows in his cars. The next day, she turned herself in to the Atlanta police and was charged with felony arson and released on $75,000 bail. She was sentenced to 5 years probation and therapy at a halfway house. Now, during this time, right, they was working on songs for their new album, but Left Eye didn't have much input on the album because she was in rehab. But she did put some rap verses down, and she did put together one of their most popular songs to this day, which is Waterfalls, with Rico Wade from Organized Noise. Another fact is, a lot of people didn't know that CeeLo Green is featured on Waterfalls, singing background. Just want to throw that in there. Now, when it came time to release the single, right, which was the song Creep, Left Eye was against the song because the song is about a woman who is not happy with her man, so she sneaks around and cheats on him. Left Eye felt instead of telling her to cheat back, why don't we tell her to just leave? And that's why she didn't put a rap verse to the song. And she threatened to protest the single by wearing black tape over her mouth in the video. And the crazy thing is, the song was really inspired by a situation between THIEVZ and Dalvin from Jodeci. But when the album Crazy Sexy Cool released on November 15th, 1994, the single Creep was on fire. It became their first #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100, topping the charts for 4 consecutive weeks, winning the Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a duo or group with vocals. Now, the second single, Red Light Special, I love Red Light Special, that's my jump. That song reached #1 and #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Now, the third single, right, Waterfalls, became TLC's most successful song, spending 7 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and #1 in New Zealand and Switzerland, while reaching the top 10 in many other countries. They also became the first African American act to ever win an MTV Video Music Award. That night, they won 4 of them. The crazy part is about the song Waterfalls is Clive Davis didn't want to release the song as a single at first because he didn't like it. But you know, the album Crazy Sexy Cool has been certified 12 times platinum, making them the first girl group in history to be awarded diamond status. To date, that album has sold over 23 million copies. After that, right, with the success of the Crazy Sexy Cool album, they were expecting to see bigger checks this time around though. But like Left Eye said in an interview, as she broke down the numbers for their contract, after paying everybody they owed, the group was left with $50,000 apiece after generating over $75 million for that album at that time. Man, they got fed up. And that's when Left Eye got a crew of her girls together from the Diversion Center, and she went to confront L.A. Reid about their money. Now, after confronting L.A. Reid first, he told them that Clive Davis had their money. So they went down to approach Clive Davis. And Diddy was there. Diddy was actually there having a meeting with Clive Davis when they came into his office. But nobody got hurt. And Clive did give them some money to keep everything cool, but they still was broke. And after talking to their lawyer, he advised them to file for bankruptcy. I mean, they was so broke, they had to borrow $15,000 from Andre Rison to file a lawsuit against LaFace Records. And that's when they went on national TV at the Grammys and told the world that they was broke. Now, after the settlement, they decided to take a break, and Left Eye started to focus on other things. Now, see, one thing about Left Eye is she was smart, and she started to learn the business. Out of all the girls, she had more money because she wrote her own rhymes, so she had publishing. This is how smart Left Eye was. Lil' Kim said in an interview that Left Eye bought her domain name and gave it back to her because during that time, people were stealing domain names and selling it back to people for $20,000. And Left Eye bought all of her friends' domain names. She was way ahead of her time and smart for doing that. She also started her own production company called Left Eye Productions with her former manager Ian Burke, and signed the girl group Black because they reminded her of TLC. And she signed another girl group called Egypt. Plus, she started working on her own solo album. Man, that time Left Eye was rolling. She was featured on the track Ladies Night with Lil' Kim, Da Brat, Missy Elliott, Angie Martinez for the Nothing to Lose soundtrack. Her and Will Smith did a song for his album called Big Willie Style. She also hosted a show on MTV called The Cut and began dating a model named Sean Newman. Now, their next album, right, titled Fan Mail, was named by Left Eye because they wanted to thank the fans who supported them over the years. But the group started to have problems before recording because Dallas Austin wanted like $4 million to work on the album. And on February 23rd, 1999, the album Fan Mail was released with the hit singles No Scrubs, which became their third #1 single, and won Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group and Best R&B Song at the 42nd Annual Grammy Awards. Now see, No Scrubs was supposed to be for the album Candy and Tiny from Escape had coming out together, but once the powers that be at LaFace heard it, they wanted to give it to TLC. The crazy part is, Sporty THIEVZ made an answer song called No Pigeons that same year, which went #1 on the Hot Rap Singles. Man, I used to love that song too, No Pigeons. And I like the other one they did about Destiny's Child, Bills, 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 Can You Pay My Bills? Anyway, Kenny Burris said she didn't care about the answer song No Pigeons because all their publishing went to her anyway. That's crazy. They made the song, I guess because of the beat. Yeah, that's probably how she got the publishing. But anyway, other singles off the fan mail album was Unpretty, which spent 3 weeks at #1, and Silly Ho. Now, they did turn down a lot of songs that was presented to them first for this album they could have used. And them songs ended up being big hits like 702's Where My Girl's At, Whitney Houston's Heartbreak Hotel, and Baby One More Time, which was recorded by Britney Spears. I mean, I think if TLC would have did those songs, they would have been hot too. They probably would have been big if they would have did them too. But anyway, now despite all the drama, Fan Mail still sold over 10 million copies worldwide, but Left Eye still was unhappy with the business side and said in an interview with Vibe magazine that she graduated from that era and cannot stand 100% behind this TLC project and the music that is supposed to represent her. And this will be her last interview until she can speak freely about the truth and present herself on her solo project. Now, she also called out THIEVZ, Chili, and Dallas Austin because she felt like the outcast of the group, and she knew that the drama in her own life was the reason TLC was selling records. But TLC also lost a lot of endorsement deals too because of her actions. She also felt that she didn't have any creative control on the writing process for their projects. And this is what Left Eye said in another interview with Entertainment Weekly. I challenged Tion Player Watkins, THIEVZ, and Razonda Hader Thomas, Chili, to an album entitled The Challenge, a 3 CD set that contains 3 solo albums. Each album will be due to the record label by October 1st, 2000. I also challenged producer Dallas the Manipulator Austin to produce all of the material and do it at a fraction of his normal rate. As I think about it, I'm sure LaFace would not mind throwing in a $1.5 million prize for the winner. That's what she said in the interview with Entertainment Weekly. Now, Chili did respond, calling her antics selfish, evil, and heartless. And with those statements, the public now knew that the group was having problems. Also, Suge Knight became her new manager at that time. And recently in the interview, y'all probably heard it on the Lifetime Hopelessly in Love episode, Suge said that he had his relationship with Left Eye was a sexual relationship. He had major love for her and he cared for her. I mean, there was so much going on in her life at that time. That's when she had reached out to somebody who she heard that could cure and heal anybody, named Dr. Sebi. Now, for those who don't know who Dr. Sebi is, he was a Honduran herbalist who claimed to have cures for HIV, herpes, sickle cell, and many other diseases just using natural herbs. And he helped a lot of famous people before, like Michael Jackson, Eddie Murphy, Steven Seagal, and some other people. I know before Nipsey died, man, he was working on his documentary, and I thought Nick Cannon said he was going to finish it, but I haven't heard much about it. For more information about Dr. Sebi's life, check out the episode I did. That's on my Patreon now, so y'all can check that out on my Patreon page, Celebrity Underrated at Patreon. But anyway, now after the Fan Mail tour, she started working on her solo album and started doing more features with other artists like Spice Girl Melanie C's single Never Be the Same Again, which sold over 2.5 million copies worldwide. She was also featured on Donnell Jones' #1 single, You Know What's Up, and worked with NSYNC and Toni Braxton. Plus, her new group Black was making noise with their debut album, which went certified platinum. But on August 14th, 2001, she released her solo album titled Supernova, which wasn't released in the United States, only overseas though. The single, The Block Party, didn't really get spins on the radio in the United States, so the label didn't push it. I wonder why. She even had a song on there with Tupac vocals called Untouchable. She was disappointed over her album, and she ended up signing to Death Row Records under the name Nina, but still remained signed to LaFace Records as a member of TLC. By that time, Left Eye was on a spiritual journey, and she went back to Honduras to see Dr. Sebi, but this time she was feeling like she's being followed by a spirit. And one night, a van she was riding in ended up running over a little boy, and he died from his injuries. Apparently, the little boy had been trailing after his sisters and brothers and stepped off the median strip at the last minute, and he didn't see him until it was too late. Now, after paying the hospital bills, the funeral costs, she finds out that the little boy's last name was Lopez, the same as hers, and believes the spirit that has been following her meant to kill her, but killed the boy instead. And on April 25th, 2002, while driving on a narrow dirt road in Honduras with her group Egypt, her sister, and a cameraman in the front passenger seat who was videotaping at the time for her documentary, she tried to avoid another oncoming truck and swerved off the road and ended up hitting 2 trees and flipped over several times. None of the 8 passengers were seriously injured, but Left Eye was killed instantly in the crash, dying from a massive blow to the head and a fracture at the base of her cranium. They said she was thrown out of the window on the driver's side and she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I just find that crazy, man, that she the only one that died. But it can happen though. It can happen. The docu-series called Autopsy aired an episode titled The Last Hours of Lisa Left Eye Lopez, implied that an extreme diet may have impaired her judgment while driving, and that could have played a part behind the accident. She had just bought land in Honduras, close to Dr. Sebi too, to build an orphanage kids center. Before she passed, TLC was working on their 4th album at the time. VH1 did the TLC movie, which I thought was a good movie, starring Keke Palmer and Lil Mama. After the movie aired though, a lot of people were upset about the way they was portrayed. Her sister Raindrop said she is working on Left Eye's book, and hopefully a movie about her life. She was 30 years old. R.I.P. Lisa Left Eye Lopez.